suburb of Springvale is situated 22 kilometres southeast of Melbourne within the greater city of Dandenong, and as 2021 had a population of 22,000. There's 2 railway stations that connect it directly with Melbourne. Around 38,000 BCE, the original owners of the land we call Springvale are the Boonwurrung and Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. They used the land sustainably for thousands of years and lived a nomadic lifestyle, moving around their territory to not overuse resources in one place. There is evidence of them being around the area of Springvale still today, such as ceremonial sites and scarred trees. In 1827, William Hovell first encountered the Boonwurrung people, and by the 1840s, British colonisers had started to use the land for farming, forcing the indigenous people to displace. Between 1834 and 1850, up to 80% of the local indigenous community had been killed by settlers from either disease, cultural disruption, or land loss. Between 1880 and the 1920s, there was a huge boom in Springvale due to Springvale Station being constructed, making it more accessible to Greater Melbourne. In the 1920s, companies such as Kelly and Lewis Engineers and Rockler Concrete started operations, offering jobs within Springvale. Probably the biggest impact that an event had on Springvale was the Vietnam War and the fall of Saigon in 1975. Following the relaxation of the White Australia policy in the early 70s and after the war, thousands of Vietnamese people fled to Australia, and specifically Springvale, due to the affordable housing prices and work opportunities. In 1970, the Springvale Enterprise Migrant Hostel opened, helping support migrants with housing, language and employment. Between 1970 and 1992, it has 30,000 migrants and refugees from 58 countries, many of which ended up settling in the local area. Migrants who moved into Springvale have had a huge effect on the culture of Springvale. Nowadays, over 25% speak Vietnamese at home.
Due to Springvale having such a high concentration of post-Vietnam War migrants, such as the Vietnamese, Cambodians and Sri Lankans, there was a need for people to practice one of their main religions, Buddhism, and therefore there was a place to do so. That is why many temples can be found throughout Springvale, each with their own cultural significance. The Hoi Kim Temple, founded in 1987 by Thich Phuc Hue, as well as Vietnamese Buddhist Church, Unified, began construction in 1998 and was completed in 2003. The temple is used for educational programs such as Vietnamese language classes as well as senior support initiatives. Established in 1990 on the site of an old gymnasium, the Bright Moon Temple, founded by a Vietnamese Buddhist, is used for hosting events such as Alambana and is spiritual hub for the community, specifically the Vietnamese. The Springvale Cemetery was purchased in 1878 and made public in 1901, and is properly known as the Springvale Botanical Gardens. It is one of the largest cemeteries in Victoria and the most historical. There have been over 473,000 cremations and 162,000 burials to date. It also includes a war cemetery of 607 Commonwealth Service personnel.
The impact of Springvale's multicultural population is immediately visible when walking down the suburb's main streets, as the influx of immigrants has recontextualized existing shop fronts and houses. The vast majority of the buildings alongside the main streets do not show any signs of Asian architecture and are quintessential Australian suburban 1 or 2 level retail shops, many with sun awnings. However, shops and signage in non-English scripts such as Vietnamese, Khmer or Chinese reshape the visual streetscapes. Walking through Springvale's commercial area today shows a vibrant mix of locals with heavy foot traffic alongside the main roads, but in particular centred around the multicultural space on Buckingham Avenue opposite the Springvale Shopping Centre. Noticeable is also the area stretching around narrow laneways behind the street-facing buildings, creating a surprisingly busy pedestrian hub filled with a series of small stores, most of which with Asian signage. When surveying the commercial area along those streets, it becomes obvious that considerably more than half of them are of Asian cultural backgrounds, such as food-related retail stores or pharmacies, while only a relatively smaller portion can be traced to more traditional Australian gentrification movements, such as real estate or accounting agencies, bank branches, or mobile phone shops. Newly built apartment buildings can be found alongside parts of Buckingham Avenue and Balmoral Avenue, but most of the street-facing ground floor level shops feature Southeast Asian shops as well. Besides the prominent Asian shop fronts on otherwise Western buildings, a few buildings do showcase distinct Asian architecture, most notably the symbolic Asian gateways in Springvale, not dissimilar to the Victoria Street Gateway in Richmond or the Saigon Welcome Arch in Footscray. There are two smaller gates on either sides of the northern end of Buckingham Avenue and a larger gate spanning the road on the southern end, built as a traditional Sino-Vietnamese ceremonial gateway and tiled roof, the Pai Lu. The fact that these tall gateways have been built in Springvale reflects local government support embracing and showcasing the multicultural background of the community, fully anchoring the Southeast Asian migrant culture into the modern cultural makeup of the Springvale community.